And the four-way test of the things we think we
Is
say.
the things they are due,
Is
is it the truth, fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
For those of you on Zoom, we don't have our amazing Russell today, so if you could mute yourself, we would appreciate it. Okay, our inspiration this morning comes from Paul Harris. Friendliness knows no bounds. It surmounts all barriers and navigates all seas. Thought that was a good one. Adrian, would you like to introduce our guests? Okay.
Good morning. And I want to thank Todd and Cindy for helping me this morning. So thank you so much. So, and we're so excited to hear Pete's. I think it's a good time with our new speaker, Jim Halderman. So thank you, Jim. And Ben is our helper today. So thank you, Ben. So appreciate it for Tucson. And Diane Ginsauer is a new member and she has applied. She's applying. And she's gonna, and she has a book she can show you that's going to be published. And Kevin Shepherd, who is going to be a new member and just have everything put out. So you'll all have to get to know Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. All right, we have, and I actually got a couple more pictures that I didn't notice in my email, so we'll have lots of extra Rotarians in the wild next week. So keep these coming. These are a lot of fun to see our community out gathering outside of our Friday morning breakfast. So the one on the left was a group gathering and talking about Camp Comfort and Mount Evans Home Healthcare and Hospice. And the one on the right is a dine around, and I don't remember whose house that one was at.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's book club.
yep, that's book club. Never mind. I got a dine around picture too, so I'm sorry, I confused them. So, so thank you everyone for gathering and growing our community by getting together outside of our meetings. Erica, do you want to do our? Nope. Okay. We'll skip that slide. All righty, we're moving right along today. Wanted to remind everybody next, the 7th is our Denim and Diamonds event. Thank you very much to everyone who's made donations. We are, our fundraising goals are, we're really close. We'd love to get a little bit more. So, but we're very close and we appreciate everybody who's made contributions. And we also want to give a special shout out to those matching donations that we have. So thank you everyone for your contribution. We would like to sell some more tickets. So they're $45. It includes an amazing, they call it heavy appetizers, but I guarantee nobody will walk out if they're hungry. It's a lot of fun. So, and it's a great way to build our community and just get to know each other in a social way. Please invite neighbors, friends, potential Rotarians, you know, family, whoever wants to come. We really want it to be a community event. One of the things I've been stressing when we talk to people is you're not, if they're not a Rotarian and they're not familiar with the event, you're not going to get hit up for money that night. We're not going to do a paddle raiser. We're not going to ask you for money. It's really just a fun event. So please invite your neighbors, friends, etc. And let's get a few more tickets sold so we can have a really full house and make it even more fun for everyone. Announcements are quick and easy this week, Denim and Diamonds. And make sure you're visiting our club's website. Right on the homepage, on the right-hand side, it lists all our speakers and also the weeks that we're dark. And it also talks about committee meetings that are coming up. If there's a committee you're interested in finding out what they're doing, it talks about book club events. It talks about all sorts of things happening. And if you have an event that you want on the club calendar, send it to either myself or Jack Stapleton and we can get it added for you. It's nice for us to all know what other people are up to. So please shoot us a message if you have something you want on the club calendar. All right, general announcements this morning, and we are flying through this today. If you have any general announcements, please come up. Make sure to state your name for the scribe and stand behind the podium so our Zoom people can see, please.
First. Standing right, okay, Barb Scripps, Karen Holland. And from Mount Evans, I'm the chairman of the board this year, and Karen is our philanthropy director. Take it away.
Your name is Barb Scripps, though.
I am. You're Karen.
I know, I am just so cheesy. So good morning, everyone. I asked Barb to come on up here with me, just to promote our, Winter Wonder Gala. And I do not, sorry, hopefully everyone can see this. This is our little tiny invitation. And then I felt like I was under a lot of pressure because, we didn't have any kind of acting, we didn't have an act put together.
Oh,
so we're
right,
just-
yeah,
we're
we
just- We're
didn't.
just improv.
Should we do a bump?
Yeah, right.
There's
So-
good dancing. There's
So we're gonna-
very good
So we're
dancing.
gonna improv a little bit here, but this is our fundraiser for Mount Evans to support Mount Evans Home Health Care and Hospice and Camp Comfort. It is on Friday, February 28th at the Mount Vernon Canyon Club. Start hors d'oeuvres at 5:30. The program and dinner starts at 7, dancing by Tunisia. I will say though, Mindy, that unabashedly, we are gonna have a paddle raiser. So we are gonna to.
Oh, we have two. We have two.
We have 2 paddle raisers, and I want to say a thank you to Barb. Of course, our wonderful board president with Scripps and Taylor is sponsoring the event and also with a table. And I know some of you, I heard about that some of you are planning on coming. So if you want to gather together, have a table, tickets are $100. And it's going to be so much fun. It's a frost and flame adventure. So this is a very think cozy, think you can dress. I tried to dress in a little bit of my cozy wear. We are gonna take over Mount Vernon. There's gonna be, it's just a little bit of a teaser. There's gonna be.
Give me the hook. We gotta go.
Ice sculpture.
It's our-
Luge.
We're so warm.
Okay, please come, and we would just love to see you there. So thank you so much.
Okay, please check out your flyer you have on your tables. Believe it or not, we've been around for 40 years. March 12th is the Evergreen Rotary big anniversary celebration. And we're gonna celebrate the next night at Rowdy Rotarians at the Cowboy Lounge, which is that new old barbecue place at Stagecoach and 74. Lazy Butcher. So more will be coming out about it, but I want you to save the date. Because it's gonna be a lot of fun and we can celebrate Tom Johnson, because I think he's the only charter member, right? Yes, Tom. Okay. Your next.
Good morning, Chris Kazian, Chair of the Community Services Committee. March 12th, our anniversary, we're having a Community Services Committee meeting, so mark your calendars, we can celebrate 40 years at our meeting. I'm here today just to remind you, I'm looking for pictures from our events. We do a quarterly spread in the Canyon Courier, and Community Service Committee is charged with making that happen in February. So I'm looking for pictures of our events and things that are happening in our community. So please send them to me ASAP because we have a deadline approaching rapidly. I sent an email out. You should see it. Thanks so much.
Good morning, Erica Sprinkle. A lot of us have been talking about how we can do more in the community physically, just not giving money to events and Seniors for Wellness, which a lot of you have volunteered for the Thanksgiving luncheon, are looking for volunteers for their Friday cafes. They are on the 3rd Friday of the month. And we're looking for volunteers from 10 to 2 to do serving, greeting, cleanup, and just really walking around, talking to people. I'm going to send out a sign up genius and hopefully for I'll do it for 4 months and see what kind of response we get. But anytime, I mean, even if you can only do 2 hours, we'll take it. We usually have about 60 to 70 people come. And so Richard is usually there and I try to go as much as I can. So we would love for you guys to help volunteer.
Good morning, everybody. Most of you heard me speak last week, but for those of you that weren't here, we are still selling tickets for our fundraiser. It's an intimate night with Jack Bartley from Firefall. There may be a VIP or two ticket left, I'm not sure. But you know, it's our, Rita just mentions it's our 40th anniversary. And one thing I know about Rotarians is that we show up. And this is benefiting 3 different organizations. We're the 3 of us splitting all the profits, 100% of the profits between our foundations. That will be my Wooden Hawk Foundation, who supports public education students where they're no longer supported. We have Resilience 1220, who support students with mental health and free therapy. And then we also have Ovation West, who we better know as Center Stage. Mandy Mishler is on their board. And they promote performing arts and help students in that arena. So, you know, it's not often that we get somebody of this caliber to agree to perform and speak with all of us. And like I said last week, I would like him to perform to a sold out show. But also, I really, really hope that you guys can be there. I got to spend I don't know if I said the Rotarians in the Wild, I got to spend lunch with him last Friday. And I know everybody else there wanted to kick me out because I asked him question after question after question, and I found out how he met Eric Clapton. And then they said, leave, Michelle, we're not getting anything done. So he is a very good storyteller, and he is an encyclopedia of rock and roll history. So, you know, it's February 13th, Thursday, 7:30. It's you know, nice Valentine's night for under $100. And I really, really hope to see all of you guys there. And if not, you can always do some of our people have reached out to us and said, can we buy tickets and donate it so that you can hand them out to people? So we have done that in a few different areas, and so we will take that as well. But I really hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
Cool. That was awesome. Good morning, Evergreen. Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I did a thing and Kimber said, you know, when you do those kind of prop swag type things, you gotta go big or go home. So I gotta go bigger this time for the event. I'm gonna need some help though. So hold on to this real quick here. So I'm going bigger this time. Okay. Going bigger. Going bigger, you can get those from Jim Johnson down at should have it somewhere. Glasses. But I'm gonna need some help. Jim, I need to take that jacket off there. Take off that jacket here. Jim Halderman, ladies and gentlemen. Jim, here we go. I need to slip that on. There's somebody give him a hand there. So it's early 70s, 1970, 71, 72. And you all are listening to, like, it's the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius, right? 5th dimension. Back then, oh, it's just barely getting on. What does it say in the back there? Together we serve better. That's right here. You're going to need some glasses with that too. There you go. Good our man. So it's age of Aquarius. You listen to that, you know, in 1971, then who comes along there but John Denver, of course, and he's doing Rocky Mountain, right? Rocky Mountain there. He's doing Country Road there. What else? What are you listening to back in, you know, you're in middle school, like in the early 70s. There, what are you listening to?
Yeah.
Here, take a mic.
What you may not know was in 1959.
And we didn't talk about this before, and he's completely surprised. So here he goes.
I was in the front band for Little Richard. I was on bandstand.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I thought,
Imagine that.
then I went to school and learned how to play music and never made as much money since. But yes, I started out in rock.
That's pretty cool. There, I'm just amazed. So what else was happening to you like in 1971, 72? That's really amazing.
Well, 72, 71, I had opened my boat dealership. I started the boat dealership at that time, so my boat
Pretty
dealership
cool.
was up and running. And,
71, 72. I think my voice changed.
yeah.
What else happened then? Oh.
I was on bandstand in 1958, so I go back a bit.
Oh, my God,
They put me in the museums.
that's right.
You know, when I saw the 55 Chevys go by one day with an antique license plate in it, I almost cried, you know. That was my first car.
Okay, 71, 72, name a song. So what else was happening then for you? Well, Vietnam War was happening, what else?
We're protesting.
You were protesting.
Oh,
You were a
yeah.
protester.
Yeah.
I just believe you would have been. And so, and what else was going on? I mean, for me, like, I think, Mary Kay O'Shaughnessy kissed me, yeah, in
Yeah.
19, don't Google that name. I've changed the name to protect it. And so, Mary Kay O'Shaughnessy, that we was an Irish Catholic neighborhood. So, Ed, anything else?
No, that's about it.
That's about it. And who else were we listening to then? We were listening, Elton John came
Oh,
along.
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Elton John came
Yes.
along there, Crocodile Rocket. And it was actually 1970s at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. That was his first
Oh,
tour,
my.
first site there. And so, and here on February the 8th, the day after you're wearing a cowboy hat, Elton John, right here, performing. His name is Tom, actually, he's a tribute band, but February 8th at Center Stage, we're listening to Elton John. So come on out for that. What else do you want to share with us?
Life is good.
Life is good.
We'll keep it short, sorry.
Well, you're speaking next, and this is the introduction
Oh,
for
this
you.
is, this.
Okay, all right. Thank you all, Tim, for being a great sport here. Come on out. You got Getting the Diamonds, right, on the 7th that night. Cowboy boots and all that. Gail's got the coolest cowgirl look. She'll be great. And what are you doing on February 8th? Right? You got Elton John, February 13th. You got
Yes, you got, Doc Bartley with Firefall.
Chalk Bartley with Firefall.
You have to buy tickets through Ovation West.
You gotta buy tickets through ovationwest.org.
Yeah.
That's right, okay? And February 9th, you got Super Bowl. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Love the outfits. Bob, do you want to come and introduce our guest? Now you get really.
Well, that's a hard introduction to follow, I think. That's a much better job. I think one thing that the new members need to know, and the old members know it, but peace is one of the big efforts within Rotary, peace and conflict resolution. And our peace team felt that one of the things that the club needs to know about is one of our partnerships with Rotary International. Rotary International doesn't have that many partnerships, but this is a big one. And Jim is here, is very qualified because he's been trained by the Institute in Economics and Peace to be an ambassador for what that partnership is. And this is a group that does deep research, and he's going to get into it. He's very qualified. You know him from speaking already this year, but in past district governor, he's on the district peace committee. He's been to many peace conferences. We've been to some together, and he's a mentor and friend. So, Jim Holton.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
Give me just a second. Our usual IT guy isn't here, so I'm faking it. Best I can.
Yes, thank you. As Bob said, Rotary is well placed for peace. We're the largest army in the world, quite frankly, that's serving and working towards peace. We're well positioned in over 200 countries and territories. So it's in our DNA. Even Paul Harris, when he started out in the teens and twenties was running around to other nations and planting trees for peace. So peace is part of his DNA, it's part of Rotary's DNA, it's who we are, what we have done. And it's the largest volunteer, and we have many strong foundations. That all sounds good. Yeah. But not long ago, my watch quit working, and so I figured, okay, it probably needs a battery. So I took my watch into the repairman and I said, please fix my watch. And I went back the next day to pick it up, and he kind of looked at me crazily. He said, Jim, this is the solar power, keep it out of your drawer. So it's that simple to fix clocks, to fix watches. Bob Rose and I have spent many hours in Cafe 13, drinking coffee, talking about what the next step that we can do to create peace in the world. What is that little thing that we can do? We've had a lot of great conversations. We've had a lot of coffee together, and we look forward to more. But we don't have that one little thing. And as a matter of fact, as it says, when we try to do that one little thing to change peace, it's probably like a clock, it's probably going to fail. It's peace is a little different. So in comes IEP with Rotary. In 2017, we signed the MOU with IEP. IEP started in 2007 by a gentleman by the name of Steve Kilalea, who had been working for peace for some time, and then one day asked, what are the markers? How can we know if we're making a difference? So we began looking at all of the materials, all of the information that's out there, realizing there really is no standard. There is no markers. There is no way to know, are we truly making a difference? So he gathered a bunch of intellects around the universities around the world, and they created what they call the Institute for Economics and Peace. Economics and Peace, why the name? Very simply because he soon realized that peace and good economy are one and the same. So they go together. So the Institute for Economics and Peace was formed in 2007. Every year since, they have quantified what works and what doesn't work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. 2017, Rotary had been using IEP even prior to 2017 in their Peace Fellow program as part of the Peace Fellow program, because the information that IEP creates, which I'll talk about, is so critical to understanding where we are. It's the markers. Are we making any headway or not? And how can we know? And that's what IEP does. 2017, Rotary decided we want to get a little bit more serious in the peace world. So we signed the MOU, and it wasn't until 2020 until the first graduating class of what we refer to as the Rotary Peace Activators. And I was very fortunate to be part of that original 27 group of Rotarians in the US and Canada. Since then, we have gone around the world creating different groups, and we have a little over 300 activators now, training, spreading the word, and moving around, and that is growing. So how do you fix a cloud? And that's what IEP is all about. How do you fix the cloud? And you do that by understanding systems. The world works by systems. Whether it's your family, within your family, you have a system. Steve Kilalea talks about the body. You have a heart doctor, you have a stomach doctor, you have all these doctors that work on specifics, piece and parts, but you really can't understand any of the organs separate from the body. We have to be part of the system to really know what it does and how it functions. What does the heart really do? What does the lung really do? We must understand the system in which it works to understand why it's important. There isn't any one organ you can take out and still have a quality life. But together, we're a system and we work. As families, we have a system. In these communities, there's a system to make it work. So it's a matter of understanding systems in the states to states and systems, and the cosmos is held together, I hope, by gravity, or something like that, they say. But again, it's all part of a larger system. So one of the key things that IEP talks about is negative peace and positive peace. And of course, upon first viewing of that, negative peace sounds like an oxymoron and positive peace sounds a little redundant. Why the terms? The terms actually came from John Johann Galton in the 70s, who was considered the father of peace studies, really put these pieces together. And to understand again what we need to do, negative peace literally means no guns or shooting. Think of the Palestinians right now. There's no bombs falling, there's no gun shooting, but are they comfortable? South Sudan has 47 tribes trying to figure out what a coming government should look like. 47 different tribes fighting, they're not really shooting or dropping bombs at one another, but it's not a comfortable environment. It's what we refer to as a negative peace. It's not sustainable. When you think of entropy, all you scientists, entropy is a word that means nothing is stable within itself. Wood would rot unless treated upon. Metal rusts unless treated upon. Food rots unless treated upon. So everything, and it's no different, there is a societal entropy. Nothing is stable unless treated on. So negative peace is society, no bombs, nobody shooting, but nothing else is going on. It's not stable. As Palestine right now certainly is not a stable environment as it is, or South Sudan, or the many other countries that may not be shooting, but they may not be very stable. Bangladesh actually is turned around. So that's negative peace. So what is positive peace? Positive peace, they figured, measures all of the attitudes, the institutions, and what are the structures that actually hold a peaceful society together. The attitudes, you and I can go downtown Evergreen and walk down the streets and feel somewhat safe. I can walk out here, I can get in my car and I can drive and I can feel somewhat safe. So my attitude is generally pretty good. The institutions that hold a society together, like Rotary, like all of the service organizations, like all of the faith-based organizations. I'm a member of 5 different peace groups now, I think. I keep forgetting what I get all these Zoom, and I'm part of this and part of that. There are virtually thousands of peace groups around the country today that did not exist 20 years ago. So there's all this effort. And Bob fortunately sends me occasionally these wonderful magazine articles and different things. So there are these activities out there, and these are what create positive peace. They are that treatment on the wood to make it, prevent it from rotting. It is the treatment that on the metal to keep it from rusting. These are the things that keep peace together. Now, in negative peace, IEP measures and has measured since 2007 every one of those activities. Negative peace is measured by going in and counting all of the homicides, domestic violence, all of the imprisonments, the size of the military. What do we spend on the military per capita? How many homicides per capita? IEP measures all of these 26 different markers in 166 countries, representing 99.7% of the population of the world. For every year since 2007, in what they call the Global Peace Index, and this is measuring all of the negative aspects of every country in the world. And like I say, it's militarization per capita, how many do you imprison per capita, how much homicides per capita, what are all of the negative things in the GPI. And by the way, I have some extra ones of these, if anybody would like. It's phenomenally interesting, tremendous amount of information. This one is old, 22. They stopped printing in paper because you go online and get all of the phenomenal amount of information. Then, so they measure that, and then likewise in positive peace, they again measure all of these, and so there's a positive peace index that looks similar to this book, the very thick book. Those I don't have, but they measure all of these things annually, and you can go online and get all of the statistics. In the, what they call the negative peace, global peace index, they actually measure every dollar that violence costs us. So you can get all of this information. It's pretty wonderful. So we also saw that the IEP 8 pillars, which I'm about to talk about. That's one thing that,
Go ahead, I'm just trying to move this.
so that it doesn't do that. Okay, I'll keep that off there. You guys think, thank you. And anyway. So the other part of IEP, and the critical part, Steve Killalea, the founder, asked himself, what are the qualities of a peaceful nation? What makes peace? What is the qualities that we need to care about? What do we need to look for? What are the characteristics? And I quote him many times because he says, if you want to understand health, look at the healthy people. What do they do? So he looked at all of these 166 nations to find out who are the most peaceful and what are the commonalities of that. And he came up with the 8 commonalities of all peaceful nations that are inevitable, that are necessary, that are required. And that's these over here, which we're about to talk about in greater depth. But what he saw also, and what Rotary saw, is the relationship between those 8 pillars and our 7 areas of focus. 7 areas of focus. But anyway, the number 1 area of focus for Rotary International, obviously, is peace and conflict prevention. Disease prevention, water and sanitation and hygiene. You've heard of WashRag, maternal and childhood health, basic education, community and economic development, and the environment. These are the 7 areas of focus for Rotary International as set out by the foundation. And I'm sure you've heard that many times. So what are the 8 pillars?
I thought I
We're gonna
fixed.
keep that a secret. Thank you. So the 8 pillars, and you said I had until 10 o'clock? Okay, anyway, the 8 pillars that Steve Killalea found that is common amongst peaceful nations. And number 1 is the well-functioning government. So what are the laws of that government? Are they fair and equitable, and do they make sense? So the structure, the well-functioning government is critical in all peaceful nations. And the second one is a sound business environment. Is there, again, a fairness in the laws and rules that allow for an equitable and fair business? Equitable distribution of resources. And that includes education, that includes monetary remunerations and all forms of resources. Is there a fair, equitable distribution? Acceptance to rights of others. Because what Richard Florida in the creative class, wrote a book in creative class about 20 years ago, found that communities and countries that honor diversity are more creative and are better and stronger economics. So acceptance of the rights of others are a very critical part to a good functioning government. Good relations with neighbors, whether it's next door, in the country or whatever. What is your relationship with neighbors? How do you deal with your neighbors? Do you have a system for dealing with the challenges that we might have. Free flow of information. Again, no democracy can function without an open and good communication system. What is the media? And of course, it's a challenging time when we hear about all of the journalists being killed. And again, that only will happen when in an autocratic environment. So an open and free and fair and peaceful nation must have an open media. High levels of human capital. Now we're talking about high levels of human capital referring to education, skill set, and because we have manufacturing companies that will move to particular states because they know there's a major skill set in that area. So what are the human resources there? And then low levels of corruption. And those are the 8 pillars essential. And so when we look at peace, when we look at all of our programs that we do in Rotary, how do we use these? How do we overlay these 8 pillars in our projects? And that's the next step to look at. I want to, and these 8 pillars can be used on a very micro level, they can be used on a macro level. If we have an outsider in school or something, what happens if we do a good relations with neighbors? Let's build a buddy bench. So it's things like that, looking at the challenges of the youth, of the individual, of that out person. Looking at the resolving friction between homeowners and homeless. What can we do by taking these 8 pillars and overlay on these problems? It helps guide us what we need to do. On your table, there are 2 different sheets, and I did not bring enough to pass out to the Zoom people, for which I apologize. But on the table, you have a sheet that looks something like this. And what it is 8 pillars and how to use them, how to overlay them in your projects. And when we're talking about rights of others, and when we're talking about these, I'll never forget one of the water projects that was done by our district. Several years ago in Kenya, an area in Kenya, they went in and realized the women were carrying water for almost a mile away from the community. So, rightfully so, we need to go help that and build a water system in the community so the women don't have to trek water for almost a mile away. They did that, brought it in, they worked with everybody, brought in the water system. One question they had forgotten to ask. Seems like the time it took for the women to walk away and meet together away from the men in the city in their own became that social experience, that opportunity for the women to gather and talk amongst themselves privately. So they took away that opportunity for the women to move away from the community, move away from the men, the controlling situation, and talks amongst themselves. So how do we look at all of the issues involved? And again, it's these 8 pillars when we look at these. You also have on your table, let's build peace. On that, and again, we thank Bob, we thank Tom Baker, we thank our district peace committee for putting this sheet together. And by the way, this sheet now has gone around the world because there is no other peace committee that has put anything together like this. What do? It's pretty elementary. What are the elements that it takes to fix a cloud? And the number 1 on top is take a look at the Rotary Peace Academy. And the Rotary Peace Academy is strictly a story about, or a class about how to use IEP. So for all of those committed to go deeper, the first thing you want to do, actually, the second thing you want to do is go to this. And it's on the Rotary website, and I gave you the website and it will take you directly there. And it may take 2 to 3 hours to go through module by module, so you can do it whatever time base you want. Phenomenally interesting, and you get a certificate at the end of it. But it teaches you on how you can use these in all of your projects to expand your projects into a peace building project. So it's pretty wonderful. I think the first thing that everybody should do is about halfway down in the top section is, what piece is your piece? It's a little article on the website of the Rotary Action Group for Peace. Take you about 10 to 15 minutes to read, and it's very, very powerful. It will help connect you into the fact that you actually all are peacemakers, particularly when you put the name Rotarian in front of your name. So here is a sheet of steps that you can do, and different organizations you can take a look at and become part of, join the Rotary Action Group for Peace. But the number one on top there is, again, take a look at the Rotary Peace Academy. And see how you can use these 8 pillars, which are so critical to all of our programs. With that, I would look forward to questions. Yes, Bob. Oh.
Do you think we're moving closer to this reality or further away? As I look down at your 8 pillars, I look at equitable distribution of resources, and I'm thinking we have more money with a certain few and less for the many, for the 99%. A free flow of information throughout the world. There's been a suppression of free press. Good relations with neighbors. Right now we have America first, Germany first, Russia first. Are we moving closer or further away?
Are we moving closer or further away? What a tremendous question. And of course, I would anticipate that to be the first question. What I do is I live in Lakewood. And as I look west, I see a lot of layers of peaks. But behind each of those peaks are valleys. But each of those next peaks get higher and higher as we look off to the horizon in Colorado. Am I wishful thinking? No, because our better angels ultimately take over. But there are peaks and valleys. Life is not a straight arrow. Never has been, never will be. We're not a straight arrow, but each peak gets a little bit higher. As Stephen Pinker pointed out, that in fact, we are getting better. The one saving grace that I have is, where on earth are we going, with all of the division and everything. Again, I live in Lakewood. I go to King Soopers grocery store right off of Alameda. There's an Ace Hardware in that area. But to get into all of those, there's a 4-way stop sign. Did you ever notice the 4-way stop signs? Nobody asks, are you Democrat or Republican? I can't believe the courtesy that I see on 4-way stop sign. I'm amazed at how many people will hold the door open for you if you're following immediately behind. They didn't ask me if I was a Democrat or Republican or what my views are. So inherently, nature is good, and nature ultimately will win. Again, think of it as peaks and valleys, each peak getting a little bit higher.
Jim, could you say a word about the Jimmy Carter Center for Conflict Resolution at GMU and what they're doing there?
I didn't pay for that at all. Rotary is doing many things. Not only in 2017 did we sign an MOU with IEP because we want to get more serious. Our Rotary Peace Fellow program, which not enough Rotarians know enough about. In fact, I was asked earlier. I'm getting it. That's my climax of this answer. Rotary we are engaged with the IEP doing all of these phenomenal programs. We have the Peace Fellow program where we are educating people on peace. It's the fellowship grant is larger than, it's very large, it's full scale. We send you out of the country and teach you all about peace. We now have 1,800 Peace Fellows working in phenomenal places around the world, doing tremendous programs. This year, we signed an agreement, another MOU with the Jimmy Carter Peace Center at George Mason University. Part of the thinking on this is Rotarians are out in the field, we're doing things. We have Rotarians everywhere in the world. So let's combine with the theorists, the knowledge, the information, the people that study the academics. And so George Mason University is the academic part. We are out in the field doing the work of that theory. So it's that combination. Thank you. So now that's brand new of March, that was agreed upon March this year, that we now have an MOU with George Mason and Jimmy Carter School for Peace at George Mason University. MOU is a memorandum of understanding. I apologize. I married, I have a lovely relationship, and many of you know my wife was just, very, very wonderful. She was with the National Park Service, she was the government, we married, and she kept speaking in this language I could never understand. And I didn't know the acronyms, and so it took me a couple of years. I studied some of the acronyms and finally got her to explain, so, I apologize to you. Memorandum of Understanding and Agreement, TED.
Jim.
TED.
I've got to leave for a month in Guatemala, and I'm looking through the lens of a developing country. I can look at the 8 pillars up there and recognize the disparity in the world of women's empowerment and all those pillars that I see. So in your force, first of all, how many men, what's the divide of the Peace Fellows that you've created, men versus women? Is it pretty even?
We're pretty even.
Okay.
It's pretty even, yes.
Okay, so my observation is that to achieve these things, especially the acceptance of the rights of others, that women have, in the majority of these countries that we're talking about, occupy a secondary role. And I think that I look at gender issues as being a major future of this project. Can you say anything about that?
I would love to. If we go back in history and study ancient history, it was up to about 4000 BC. We had a very egalitarian society. Men and women were very equal. We each had equal roles, equal respect. And it was actually in the Bronze Age that began to change. Are we getting better? Is that one of the peaks we're rising? And it's hard to see. I would like to say we're getting far better than we were. Social media is a plus and a minus of all of society. We can condemn it for many things, but it also is an educator in many ways. We're educating more women before, recognizing that if you educate a man, you give him a good career. If you educate a woman, you educate the community. So we have seen that for a long time, because the woman will stay there, raise a family, raise the kids, and raise the general education, where the man runs off to find the best opportunity. All of our female education programs are serving us extremely well. In Africa, once a woman is educated, she crosses her legs until she's older and is able to stop being the child bride, as was the case forever. Again, the trends are good. Life is where you put your eyes, what you put your focus on. Your life is what you believe. Your truth is what you believe to be true. When you believe it, you will see it. And this is my story in peace. When you believe peace is reality, you will see it. And again, going back to the 8 pillars, when you go into an area like Guatemala and you see all of the disparities, these are the things that we need to work on. When in your local community, take a look at your local community. Where are we strong? Where are we? These are the programs you need to work on. In water projects, whatever it is, but in any community, this is how we build peace. What are the weaknesses? And rights of others certainly are is one of them. What can we do? And the women's education is one of the most powerful things we're doing for peace in the world, quite frankly.
So my question, thank you, first of all, for all that you're doing and everybody involved with this endeavor in the world, obviously so important. And Bob, of course. You know, I noticed this Global Peace Index that you mentioned, and I was both not surprised and surprised to see that the United States is 132. So there are 131 countries that are in a better position on the index and only 31 that are in a worse position. So the United States is clearly near the bottom. And, you know, for all of our talk about all the freedoms and everything in our country, that is a sad thought. And I just would like your comment.
You are exactly right. On the GPI, on the Global Peace Index, which measures what we call the negative peace, the US is very, very low largely because of, because of our incarceration rate, because of our militarization size, and because of the guns, and we have a lot of homicides per capita. So yes, on that scale, the US is extremely low, quite frankly, in the world. Like you said, 31 countries are worse than us. On the positive peace index, we rate one of the, actually, we're about 14 or 15, but somewhere around there on the peace index, because we have a lot of the positive things. So we are an extreme mix. And if we want to know how to peace, let's start in our own backyard. How can we, if we cut our military budget in half, we could pay free education and anyway. But the bottom line is, yes, take a look at that. What can we do about that? How can we help that? These are the value of these statistics. We know what to work on. And you've had your head up before.
But the older I am, the less peaceful I feel. I don't know what causes me to be less peaceful. What can I do personally? You have to
Turn off the TV and go read a book, or my wife got on the Hallmark Channel because we cannot stand watching the news anymore. She watches Hallmark, and I watch Hallmark. I said, why? Come on, they're so scripted. But they're peaceful and they're happy ever after. And we like that. Reality is where your attention is. Bottom line, one of the things that helps the most is that four-way stop sign. People are kind. People are polite. We don't even know. They may be the biggest whatever. And I will wait for them to go if it's their right way to go. So it basically, as we get older, we learn things. But where is our attention? There is good. There is evil. We get to choose what we watch.
I have two questions. Are there any programs in prisons? I have a former foster son who's in prison, and he's trying to be peaceful, trying to not affiliate with the gang. And it's hard, and he keeps getting recruited, and so at that type of level, are there gang programs or prison programs?
Funny you should mention, may I ask where? Where
He's in Fremont.
In Fremont?
Correction, in Canyon City.
I had the pleasure of working in Canyon City. Canyon City, I'm not aware. The bottom line is Colorado has more programs in prisons than in most other states. We really are forward thinking on that. Not enough. When you actually do the numbers of what it costs to retrain, re-educate versus incarcerate, why don't we do much, much more of that? The answer to your question is yes, there are programs in prisons. I worked in prisons for years myself, in anger management and life skills with Alternative to Violence, which is a Quaker program, a wonderful program. There are several, they're not in Canyon City, we were in 5 or 6 different prisons. But there are a lot of programs, Colorado is forethinking on that, not enough. Because again, when you do the numbers on training versus incarceration, it's unbelievable. Are you going to change everybody? No. Are you going to change the most for the better? Yes. There are programs, there's not enough.
So I have a second question. Is there anything, a number of us have businesses, is there anything that we can do? Like on our websites or get some training that's specific for businesses that we can promote it within our communities and our business communities?
There are more and more corporations, marvelous question, because there's many corporations and if somebody else can answer this, there's a lot of corporations that are becoming social conscious. So how do you become social conscious? And there are a lot of people, fortunately, that care about the social conscious business. As even in Rotary, support different organizations and let the world know you're supporting it. No, that's not self-seeking, self-satisfying. That's sharing the world that we care about the world. So how can you be social conscious and let the world know that? Some corporations are figuring out, Ben and Jerry's and a variety of others are figuring it out.
Is there something though within this academy that we can do?
Yes.
Just any of these trainings?
Take a look at the Peace Academy. There's some good information on that.
And thank you very much for the talk this morning. The piece is really, so important. Have you heard the term MAD? It's a military term, stands for mutually assured destruction. And I would say that just a comment like that, I understand why we're so low on the index, because that is negative peace. Because out of fear, all of us are getting along, and some of us built shelters and for the nuclear fallout and all of that. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
Again, like putting our head underneath the desk in schools when the atomic bomb dropped, that was a comical time, comical period. We're running high, and I don't want to be the last one on earth myself. I want to stand up and say, what can we do? And the answer of what can we do, again, take a look at that course, the modules on that, and how we can use these 8 pillars, and how do we visualize those as in Guatemala, are we being high levels, human capital, free flow of information? What can we do? What piece of these can we do in our own community?
One more.
The last word.
No kidding. So actually, Don, I was going to offer this as a suggestion to all of my friends here at Rotary. And that is, if you really want to improve the situation anywhere you happen to be, it's important to be informed. And in that case, the biggest problem with the way communications technology is working today is we can all crawl into our own silos and just hear what we want to hear that supports our own confirmation bias. So my suggestion would be multi-source your news. There's ground news, there's Medium, there are several that take a look at different publications. But if you get your information from a single source, you only have a single bias. And it's really important to gain perspective by looking at multiple sources.
That should be the final word. Open your mind to other ideas and get out of your own personal silo. And even some of the organizations that gather people together, we'll leave it at that. Move out of your own silo, just listen to what the other side says. And is there any value in this? And listen even when it may hurt. But where is this coming from? What do thank you.
Thank you very much for being here today. As a thank you for your time, and your trip up the mountain today, we will be donating 60 doses of polio vaccine in your name. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And with that, go out and share peace and the magic of Rotary in our community today. We'll see you all next week.